Whoops, everyone. Let's start it again. Hi, everyone. It's Matt, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel. And we have the results. We have the song from Belgium. We have the qualifiers from Norway. And we have the qualifiers from Estonia. So we have to talk about it. Obvi, because a lot has happened. And I think a lot of surprises between us. And we could just start with the semis, but that would be kind of silly. Let's talk with the obvious one, and that is in Belgium. Belgium has chosen the song for Eurovision, the Eurovision Song Contest 2023 via Eurosong 23, their first national and probably last national final ever. Okay, I'm being silly, but a very, very, very unexpected winner, I think, to most. While there have been some favorites, dark horses, and all of that stuff, I don't think anyone saw the winner coming from 20 miles away. Gustav, because of you, won the contest basically in Belgium, therefore gets to go to Liverpool for the country. And I'm here to talk through that with y'all and hear your opinions. I'm sure everyone has them. And as always, in the chat at ES United, as you ask them away, of course, super chats always answered first. But that certainly I will do my best to go for that. Of course, yes, I should put my phone on silencio because it keeps dinging. I'm getting notifications everywhere right now. Not surprised. Anyways, so just to wrap this up real quick, the results, the winner of the jury vote was Gala Dragot with her song, with Shireen coming in second. Then in terms of the televote, that one was won by the Starlings. And then second place, Gustav, because of you, right? If I'm not mistaken. That means Gustav, who came third with the jury, I believe, and then second, second with the televote, wins it overall, which is unexpected, I guess. I think a lot of people will agree with that, and a lot of people's jaws dropped, myself included. I'm not sure if you follow me on Twitter, but my tweet was when he performed was, "I love his dedication and energy." The song, obviously a no-go for Eurovision, but he had the time of his life, and I'm so happy for him. And clearly, I misjudged that one. And to give you my ranking, he was actually my number 7 out of 7. So needless to say, not what I was anticipated, not necessarily what I saw coming. And I would love to see what you're all thinking as well, because I think a lot of them are in the same boat. I think there are a lot of surprises here for me in general, because I thought that Shireen would do better with the televoters, while would do kind of flop with the juries. And then this was basically upside down. She came fourth with the televoters. Gala and Shireen almost got the same amount of points, 123 versus 125. The Starlings won the televote. The televote, Starlings number 1 and Gustav number 2. That, to me, is certainly a big, big surprise. And I would love to hear from you again, what your thoughts are at ES United in the chat. Yeah, to me, probably based on my taste, I said I love his energy, but I don't get the song. I just personally don't see. The problem is also, I don't know what the Belgian public saw. I still struggle to see this one do well in like an international setting. I'm trying to see, could you see votes coming from this from all across the continent? Keep in mind, there are no juries in the semis. That puts Belgium certainly a little bit on thin ice. You can make the case it did pretty well here in the Belgium national final, but you can also make a case that the Starlings won with roller coaster by a landslide. and I don't think either of those two songs have mass international appeal. It seems as the Belgian public has a very different taste. I don't know. I don't know. Is there must have maybe confusion in terms of what the judges were saying? I am not quite sure what happened. At the same time, as I said in my on Twitter, I did say that I'm very happy for him because he really gave it his all. And that's all you can ask for. By the way, he also just won by 1 point, Gustav. Very important. He got 278 versus 277 by the Starlings, then 271 by Gala, and 268 by Shireen. So they were all within 10 points, these top four. It was a nail biter. It was not a landslide in any shape or form. So I have no idea. I have no idea how this happened. And I am still speechless. I'm trying to gather my thoughts here, and I'm not really good at it. I just don't connect with this song. Shireen was by far the best, in my opinion. She could have done really well, but now Belgium might NQ Loreen. We're going to go through the songs in just a moment, one by one, just briefly to see what we're thinking. All current selected songs, according to Antonio, have limited appeal. I think you have a very fair point to make there. The way I would summarize it is they are too niche in some ways. Shini is saying, absolutely baffled. I didn't expect it at all. This is always the worst way to win a national final, not topping juries or televote. Let's go for them from a bottom to top. Hunter Falls, the first song of the night, Ooh La La, came in 7th place. I personally put him in my 6th place. Didn't do well came last with the televote, second to last with the jury. So no surprise here. I don't think anyone saw this one with a major shot, I guess. But then again, no one saw Gustav. But yeah, so no shocker here. I would love to hear if anyone else had that. Number 6, Loredana, You Lift Me Up. I liked it better than some. Did you televote put us in 5th place? I put it in 4th overall, so we're kind of equal. Surprised it came last with the juries though. So, but yeah, I don't think on paper it was never a contender. Again, neither was Gustav in my book. So there you go. Interestingly enough, in 5th place is Amira. And a lot of people, even early on when the songs were released, this is just a sham national final. It's a farce because they already want her to go. She will win because she's famous and da 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 da. And clearly that didn't happen. She only she came second to last in the televote, and with the juries was only 4th. So no, that did not happen either. As said. So I'm a bit surprised by Mira. I thought there would be more of appeal. Live, it kind of lost me a little. I liked the studio version, at least a snippet that I saw, but for some reason it's a freak show song, right? And it seems a little bit too timid for a freak inspired song. I think they should have gone a little bit more out, and it would have been maybe pop a little more. That was my impression, but it certainly was not a bad song. I would have put it certainly higher than 5th place. In 4th place, then Shireen now with on 268 points again, but the difference between 4th and 1st place is insignificant. 10 points overall. It's very, very small. So there was not a whole lot of agreement. Shireen's songs to me on paper was by clearly the favorite. And put this because there are 2 pieces of it, right? Number 1, the staging. Number 2, the song. The song to me sounds like a fun song from the 80s Belgium, but with so much energy and such a catchiness. I always thought it was a long shot for this one to begin with. So I was surprised after this performance that there was a lot of hype online that did not translate into votes in Belgium, clearly. I do think it was maybe too retro for some people. And some people make the case the staging was too much. I personally enjoyed it. I don't know if in the staging, if she would have changed it to a little less, more subtle staging would have made a difference. I just don't think people click with the song as much as some Eurovision fans. Again, clearly to me, Belgian fans, the average viewer may not agree with what Eurovision people would vote for. So I'm not claiming that Shireen is necessarily the most creative piece. It certainly has the retro feel. We've heard it before, but in this day and age, what we see in national finals, it certainly was a little bit more of a breath of fresh air is what I was trying to say. So certainly, that is a little bit of a surprise. Then Gala Draga, she would have been my choice if when Shireen did not make it. I was like, well, Gala's going to make it. That is certainly aesthetically and artistically, I thought, the best option. Then it got 125 points, fell 6 points short, I think. So that is unfortunate. I was like, because I realized since it's not Gala, my second favorite, that Gustav would win. It's like such a dramatic difference there. Such a big difference. And then the Starlings, I don't know if any Belgian folks are in the audience here. I'd love to hear from you. The Starlings obviously have a little bit more recognition with Tom Dies being, the previous representative for Belgium 12 years or 13 years ago now. So was there name recognition? Because I am trying to wrap my brain around this. Do people really thought this was the best song? It was, to me, and I agree with the juries, it was not a well-written song. It's like it's a roller coaster, very repetitive, very predictable lyrics, something we've heard many times before. This is something that you usually think juries would go for, and even they didn't go for it. Yet here comes the televote and puts it really, really high up. And I was absolutely shocked. But I'm not shocked. I always thought this could happen. So, yeah. I still think I don't know. I'm just very confused about this. So I would love to hear from people as well. The Starlings are just liked by Belgian people. The people that voted for this aren't Eurovision fans. Is that the problem? Because sometimes we get that in the German national final as well. They get like wherever the hype is at. So, yeah, I certainly feel that way. And then number one, Gustav, because of you. I would love to know, Belgian people, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, or people who are familiar. I don't believe Gustav is like some famous person there that he had like some sort of head start or leg start, a leg up. But clearly he came in second in the televote. So people like that kind of music. I can only compare to a little bit like what Laura Tesoro's song was from 2016. I think there are some similarities between. Maybe that kind of music is just still popular in Belgium. Or do people really think that was one of the better songs? And yes, I know. Clearly, there is a discrepancy between what the international people wanted versus what Belgium is sending. And that where the disconnect is there, right? It wasn't even just that, the favorite didn't win, even though it was not a clear favorite. It's really about this random ranking almost being so close to top four and the juries and televoters disagreeing so much and almost having an upside down. Like I would thought the jury vote is more reflective of the televote, or I would predict the televote would look like, and then the televote looks way more something that, yeah, that's a jury thing. Absolutely. Like the Starlings and Gustav, totally jury pleasers, they're gonna do it. And here we are, the exact opposite. Again, we're not a very good national final. We once again chose Axel from 2014, the creepy song. And once again, mother, you are the mother. Yes, so that was certainly a similar outcome. That's why I jokingly said earlier, this was the last national final in Belgium. And here I'm kidding about it. You got to respect the outcome and you got to, just be respectful and supportive in a sense, like as an artist and as an entry towards the song. So I don't want to see like this negativity on social media that people do all the time and making the artists really regret doing this and then deleting their social media presence. It's terrible. And I'm worried that's going to happen here. That is just not right. At the same time, looking at it I can see Gustav actually performing in the jury vote. And that would be the saving grace for him in the semis. However, in case you don't know yet, there are no juries in the semis this time around, thanks to the crazy voting and cheating from last year's. They're only going to be televote. Do you really think that this song has a lot of televote appeal? I think the stars need to be aligned for Belgium. Great running order, non-threatening songs. I'm just trying to picture it in any way or shape or form going through. And that is the competition, right? So I don't know. Jamie is saying, do you think the change in the semi-voting system will hurt Belgium at Eurovision? This feels like the kind of entry that could have a chance with the juries, but televote changes a chance. That's what I'm saying, Jamie. That's exactly how I feel. Now, people may make the case you're wrong because it did better with it did well with the televoters as well. But the international folks have a very different opinion than the Belgian ones, obviously. And Gustav performed similarly with the televoters and the juries, right? Third and second place. Got a little bit more points on the televote, and which was needed because, 1 point less and it would have lost. 1 point. Holy smokes. Would have lost. We've gotten 1 point less. That is going to be probably a lot of conversation in the media there. This is why the Netherlands doesn't have a national final. I was getting flashbacks. It's funny that you say that, Joey, because I was thinking the same thing. Because unfortunately, Netherlands often did a similar thing, right, where they just went for the what. And although some of them I actually liked. I liked "You and Me" by Joan Franca, but some other previous ones were a little suspect. But yeah, so it's easy for me to sit here and say I don't like the song. I think it'll probably flop, and then saying they should not do a national final. When there are clearly some people out there who like the song, certainly in Belgium. And but at the same time, I'm getting more of a Sisters vibe from Germany 2019, which won the televote anyways in Germany, but still nobody liked it, even in Germany. So could that happen here? Or last year, even Rock Stars. No one really cared for that song, and yet it won. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know how this all happened and came about, and I'm just worried something similar is going to happen here. So, but I am thinking the odds of this song performing just at Eurovision are fairly substantial. We don't know all of the songs, and we don't know really how it'll come across. But I think there's a good shot that this is certainly not a qualifier, that Belgium will not return to a national final. That would be my thinking. But no sister slander, please, Matt. I'm not slandering. I actually think it deserved more than second to last place, in my opinion. Like, I remember in the 2019 ranking, it was like smack in the middle for me. And that is probably the issue here, because it is such a middle of the pack song that hardly anyone put it at the top. And that's why I got 0 points from the televote. So no, I'm not slandering. I think there were way worse songs in the running. But at the same time, that is my point. It is just not somebody that people go, "Oh, sister." You know what I mean? So that is my concern. So I'm curious how the media will respond in Belgium to that over the next day or two, and see if there's a lot of outrage, excitement, or how the public feels. Again, is it going to be something that the public will be really behind and only the fan base is against it? Or is it really more like the people in Belgium like, what? Kind of like what usually happens in Germany. I don't know. On January the 31st, we'll have the allocation draw, and then maybe get a little bit idea if they're going to be in the first and second half. All of those things. I think the song has a shot. If it really gets like a closing rank, or like really at the end, and it does click with people and all of that stuff. But this kind of music just doesn't work with the public. And I compared it a little bit to Belgium 2016, which did come in 10th place, I think. But when you look at the televote results in 2016 in the finals, not great. So I'm worried something like this could happen again. So it's going to be interesting. I was a big defender, actually, because last year it was an internal selection with Jeremy, right? And a lot of fans were not thrilled with that one. I was, from the beginning, a big supporter of that song. I thought that song was quality, actually. It was my personal top 10 pre-contest. The performance was a little underwhelming to me, but I still like that song very much. And I defended it and fought for it all the time. I don't think you'll see me here, but I will still support the act, Gustav, because, he's an act. He believes in it. The country has chosen him, and that is just something that, you will have to accept and respect that decision. You don't have to like it, and that is kind of how I feel. Again, if you have any questions, I will only see them if you do a, or not, mostly we'll see them if you do it via super chat to support this channel, or do at ESC United. Like, really imagine one jury member changing one place and the winner would change. Crazy. That's the whole thing, right? One jury member and somebody sitting there, maybe I should have put in fourth place and not third. Could have made a difference. So it's very, very interesting, a lot to digest over, and in particular, it's going to be interesting because as of right now that we have 3 songs, I think the same can apply to Ukraine and Albania. Both entries so far have received lukewarm responses. It seems a lot of them get like, it's a fine song, it's not my thing kind of song, right? And that's like usually the death at Eurovision, because you rather want to be polarizing. That's what you can say about songs like from Shireen and Gala. They are polarizing. Some people really hate those songs, but a lot of people will like it, and you want a lot of people to love it and be there, than rather than just more like be indifferent. Indifference is the death at the contest. It's certainly in the televote. I saw you removed him from the bowl when he was in the video, and me and my BF web said, I removed him from the bowl? What bowl? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Forgive me. I don't have a bowl. How do you feel about Khan possibly getting excluded from the EBU? We'll talk about that. Remind me again, because we're currently focusing on the national finals, and at the very end, we're going to talk general Eurovision, and I'll be happy to answer that. I'm just trying to stay a little bit on track here. I was also getting Israel 22 vibes again. 1 point difference with the second place in a similar. Yeah, I can see that, though song-wise it's very different, but I get it. There was also a lot of drama. But at least you can make the case with Mikal. He was a landslide televote winner. So at least the public wasn't like, what? They were behind it. Here, they may be a little bit more tricky. I don't know. We want to see, okay, Ruben. You're not following me on Twitter, unfortunately. So you said you want to see my cat. Sadly, Dustin passed away 1 week ago in my arms here. Because he's been sick for like a month or so. I mean, he's been sick for a year, but it got really bad this past month. So I was considering if I have to put him down or not, but I wasn't there yet. And then he just crawled into my arms, slept there for a few hours, and then fell asleep. Was very sad. I'm still very sad. So you won't be seeing him, unfortunately, anymore. I still have my other cat, Princess, but she's a little camera shy. So yeah, that's why I didn't live stream last week, because I was still mourning Dustin. It's still rough. You're gonna make me cry. Yeah. So it's very sad. So yeah, it hurts. But anyway, so let's talk about the national final. So gaming with Leighton says bad Eurovision year. So let's just say the 3 countries that have chosen their entries based on my personal taste have chosen weaker songs than the songs from the prior year. I will do a 22 versus 23 video in the near future. And but I think, yeah, so right now we're not off to a good start based on my taste, but we still have 34 songs to go, and it's fairly common for some reason that the early national finals tend to pick meh songs, and then it really picks up. And I'm really hoping that is going to happen here as well. And maybe, if Albania, Belgium, and Ukraine, no, Ukraine is right in the final, so it doesn't even count. They don't even have to worry about that. Maybe all the meh songs will be in one semi, and then they become more competitive. So we shall see. And I love one of the comments that I just saw floating by, someone saying, I love the chaos of it all. I kind of am with you on that a little bit. As sad as I am that some of my favorites did not make it. I mean, in Ukraine, Albania. Albania was a weak group anyways. But Ukraine, I had some songs I really liked. And Belgium had a lot of songs I liked that didn't make it. I would have rather seen them through. The music doesn't disappear. You'll always have the music to listen to. So even though they're not at the contest, you can still enjoy it at any point in time on Spotify or wherever it's available. So in the end, I'm not that devastated. It's just, when you do Eurovision, you listen to rehearsals over and over again when you hear songs that you just don't click with, it does get a little boring. But hey, that is just kind of how it goes. Belgium acts usually depend on staging. If you ask me, Gustav could even get top 10 with the right show, a la Moldova. Mm, mm-mm. I don't think so. But you can come back in May and tell me I'm wrong. But it is definitely yeah. I respect your opinion. I absolutely do. I just don't know if I see eye to eye. Love you. But yeah, that is definitely what's happening in Belgium. Let's go over the other national finals real quick. We only have, one song, but we had Norway and Estonia also picking more songs for their show. And let's start with Estonia. They had the final first, and they had the semifinal a couple of days ago, the first one. And today it was the second semifinal, and the final is in a couple of weeks. Here are the real quick the qualifiers of tonight's show. Sisi, Inger, Alika, Melik, and M. Else. M. Else, is that how you pronounce it? Was the fifth qualifier, because the first four was a combination between televote and jury, while M. Else was then in a second round selected as a just televote candidate. I predicted 4 out of 5, although the one that my favorite, which was Elisa, did not go through. That was my personal biggest upset. Elisa, honestly, I didn't feel strongly about this semi anyways, because my top 3 are in the first one. My top 4 are in the first semi. So I didn't feel, well, actually, there's one song I still really rooting for, which is Alika. But I expected those 4 to go through, thinking that Elisa would make the cut over Emels. So overall, I wasn't completely shocked about the outcome, but certainly not necessarily based on my personal likings. My top 5 would have looked quite different, but I'm curious how people feel in the chat. Do you think that is a good result? Were you surprised at ESC United in the chat? So Bint is saying, who do you think will be the 2 wildcard entries? I'm really hoping for Valik to make it. I'd happy just being in the final at this point. Honestly, I don't know who your personal bias comes always into play here when you think about that, because you think about what you like. In terms of what I think, first of all, I think it doesn't matter, because those songs will have 0 shot at winning. Now, I've heard the same thing about Gustav today, so maybe I should just shut the hell up. But looking at the lineup, I could still see Elisa squeezing through if she's lucky. And Valik, but I don't know. So I'm definitely they'll be my guesses, but I'm not 100% sure. But I don't think that already not being able to make the finals after 2 rounds of voting. Yes, it's great to be there and to celebrate and all that stuff, but they have making it to the top in any shape or form. Clearly, that were not what the juries didn't go for it. The televoters didn't go for it, basically twice, you could say. So I find it hard to believe that to be happening. So let's talk this through here. Questions about Estonia. Hot take number 2, then. Alisa's song felt dated even for Eurovision standards, but I still thought she would have more support. Jonathan, that is absolutely true, and I'm not denying it felt dated. It is very old-fashioned 80s sound, but even for Eurovision, that's the only thing where I maybe disconnect. Remember Denmark 21? I mean, I love that song. It was one of my favorites, and that won in Denmark, and was it really high in the televote. It was like 6th place in the televote in the semis. It's the juries what destroyed it. So I think there is definitely a place for this kind of music. It just didn't click. It just didn't. And just what works in Denmark may not work in Estonia, to be fair. So I don't necessarily think it's just because of that. But you are right. It is old-fashioned, retro. And that's why I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I really like Bad Philosophy. It was sad it didn't make it through, but yeah, damn, somehow she just cannot perform and sing really good live. I think that's a good point, World Sasori as well. I don't necessarily think she's the best vocalist here. If she would have been really like giving us like "Rah!" just better, then maybe it would have left more of an impact. But it was a little thin, right? So I completely agree with that. So as said, I'm not devastated because I think I like the other songs in the first semi better for the most part. So hopefully that will come to fruition. Fortunately, even though a lot of my favorites often get eliminated in the semis in Estonia, when it comes to the finals, the televoters tend to agree with me more on what to choose. So hopefully it'll be the case again this year. And hopefully Lisa will be back because, you know, she certainly did really well last year coming into the super finals. This year, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. So I will do my own personal top 10 video for Estonia. So I will not completely spoil it just yet. But yeah, so that is where we're at. And the finals will be in a couple of weeks. And every Saturday is now Super Saturday from now on. So that is great. And we also had the first semifinal in Norway, Melody Grand Prix. Big hype and lots of controversies about the autotune, all of that stuff. 7 songs performed. 3 of them will move on to the next round. And in my book, it was an insanely strong group of songs. The problem is, are the other semis weaker? Did they use all the good ones here? Because I would have been okay with almost every song to go through this evening. Let's take a look. It's a little blurry right now. I don't know why. If I make it smaller. But I'll read it to you. Alessandra, Queen of Kings, Umami Tsunami with Geronimo, and Ulrike with Honestly Are Through. And that means Wave, Eric with Wave is out, Rasmus Tal, and Kate's beautiful Norwegian ballad. And then, of course, Joust tried to return. I mean, they did return, but didn't make it all the way to the end, unfortunately, are out. So in terms of the results, I am not too surprised. I do have a top 7 video out there as well if you want to look at it. And as you can see, the 3 qualifiers were in my top 4. So I am not sad, but I had a soft spot. I just loved that beautiful, beautiful Norwegian ballad. I knew there was very little chance for it to go through, but I would have loved for that one to make it, just to kind of add a little bit more like class. Not saying the other thing not classy, but you know what I mean. It has like maybe the old school vibe, and I just really, really was digging that one. So I am very sad about that. So that's where we're at. Thank you, by the way, Jade Funky Coffin, for the super chat and supporting us. Geronimo was the main act for me. I will talk about that in just a moment, actually. By the way, anyone who supports us, if you cannot do that on here financially, that's fine. You can become a member here, either on Patreon or a member on YouTube. Super chats. The reason why I'm mentioning that, the EBU is really cracking down on fan websites and not allowing us to make any money while we're at Eurovision. So in order for us to even cover our costs, we're talking about thousands of dollars, we have to recover it somehow. So if you want to support us in any shape or form, please do so. And if you don't have cash, that is completely understandable. I don't fault you for that, but always help us by liking and sharing the videos. Liking helps us in the algorithm, and it's so hard to really stand out at this point. So any support like that is appreciated. When you said that the wild carders or second chances winner have no chances, I remember at MGP 21 when Jorn won the second chance round. In the final, he got in top 4 of totally 12 acts. Well, Suzuki, let me elaborate on that. I'm not saying that second chances never have a shot, because it happened before. The last time in Sweden in 2013. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they have never chance. It's unlikely. I think I would use that term, but not impossible. What's different about Estonia is it's not just the wild card. It's like the third round. Do you know what I mean? Because it was the first round of voting. The act didn't get enough votes to make it through. Then there was a second round of voting, apparently, and that was not enough either. So now the third time, maybe they'll get through. So yeah, at some point, I mean, come on. And yes, you can do well, but winning is very, very rough. So, do you think, honestly, is Eurovision winning material? Yes. I, at this point, I would more say it is top 5 material. But I do think if Norway were to win with that one, I think they would go really, really, really far. A fantastic singer with a beautiful song, and she connects with it emotionally, and it comes across, and it is grand, and it is still for juries a lot to grab onto, not just the vocals, but the arrangement is familiar in certain parts, but kind of daring in others. Where it just switches up. I think it's a very well executed entry, and I think it could go really, really far. Absolutely. We'll go from there. But I personally, as said, would have put through the pretty ballad by Kate Gulbrandsen, Tare I Paradis, but I knew that was highly, highly unlikely. The only song I personally didn't care for was Tresco. But that is just out of staging. I mean, Tresco to me was that kind of song that, we all is the reason why we watch national finals. And it's also the reason why we get upset at national finals, because we want to have those because they're fun and we're like, what? But then if they actually end up winning, we're all like, what? So it's like a lose-lose situation for these songs. I kind of think Elsie from the snippet could go even further than Ulrike. What do you think, Noah saying? So I listened to the snippet and it was one of my favorites as well, I think, to stand out. So I do think as well, if it's anything like last year's, it has certainly a similar vibe to what she did last year, which is my kind of music. So I can see that one going really, really far as well. But honestly, no pun intended. No pun intended. But honestly, I actually am still more of Queen of Kings. That song just to me is I need that energy of the song. The energy of the song I just can't get enough of. So that is certainly where I'm sitting at. But Ulrike clearly right up there as well. So that is what I feel. But yeah, Queen of Kings, we haven't talked about it yet here. And I love Alessandra's personality. She's so quirky and bubbly, and I always gravitate towards people with big personalities, and she clearly has that. So that is why I'm just like, whoa, so much fun. Jonathan is saying, I can't think of other strong acts than Elsie Bay. So yeah, the first semi felt way too overloaded. Two favorites, Joust and Nice Niche, but good songs. So about Joust, the song itself is a little cliche. That's a little much, but the staging was so fun. I'm like, oh man, I would love to see that again. So well done. I love the guy, Byron is his name, right? His voice is just so soulful. It was so good. It was so well executed, but once again, I have a feeling that came in fourth place. It just wasn't good enough, unfortunately. And yeah, we'll go from there. But again, we'll always have the music, even though we don't get there this year with Joust, unfortunately. I'm looking at the list for next week. Elsie Bay is probably the biggest name, as we mentioned here, in terms of like that stands out, but there could be some surprises in there as well that will stand out, but we'll go from there. By the way, these stage shows ain't going to be the same in the final. Got to cut the budget in the semis. Really, Noah? Considering that this is a cutback budget, it's pretty darn good already, right? Could you imagine what Joust would have done in the finals if they had a bigger budget? That was really good. The camera work was, wow, split screen. So it was so good. But yeah, I'm curious to see what I think the only one I would like to see a little bit more is actually Queen of Kings. I think they could do a little bit more there than just the lasers and all that stuff. But other than that, and maybe, I mean, honestly, we'll probably even more grand, probably, right? But I thought it was a really pretty darn good. And I enjoyed the show tremendously. I said on Twitter, it's a long intro to the acts, but other than that, it was good and smooth show. So yeah, we're gonna, and keep in mind, every Saturday now there is going to be a Super Saturday. So every Saturday we're going to be talking about the results live afterwards. Of course, there will be times. This mostly actually applies to countries more further east, I guess, geographically I'm talking about, where they have these shows like until early in the morning. So you have to wait and see. Maybe we'll do them the next day. But yeah, the plan is to have Matitude live stream every week, at least once, if not more, until the Eurovision. So get ready. That is very, very exciting, right? So yeah, those are the shows for today, and we have a few more shows, of course, then coming up next week, which I'm looking up right now. I had it up, but then I went to Twitter and overrode it. Let me go to my calendar here real quick. So for the next week, we'll have, of course, early next week, we get the songs for Heat 2 for Norway. Then we're going to have, we get the songs from Denmark. We're not going to have the show. Same for Portugal. And Malta will have their second quarterfinal. And then Heat 2 for Norway on Saturday. And the Lithuanian first heat as well next week. So it's a slightly slower. We only have 2 shows next Saturday. But we'll have a live stream anyway, because there will be so much to talk about. And then we'll go also to more like Eurovision stuff, because the allocation draw will be in a few weeks. And it's just going to be busy. It's just going to be busy. Thank you again, Jade Funky Coffin, for the support. The singer of Queen and Kings, her vocals was at 10:10, but she really looked stiff in movement. You know what? You're absolutely right. I think that is exactly what it is. She was a little stiff, but the funny thing is her facial expression weren't, right? She seemed to have fun, but it was a little, uptight. I can see where you're coming from. Maybe the staging, the camera work didn't help with that either. So there's certainly room for improvement, but the song, 10:10. And she was, vocally, she was great. So, but now keep in mind, there's a lot of auditing going on, but I could go on to this for hours. So that is what we had for the shows. Let's just have a few more minutes to talk about everything. Let's talk about these 3 shows. If you have anything Eurovision related about the national final, the stuff that's going on, as always, at ESC United in the chat, or if you want to support us with a super chat, that's always appreciated as well. Spolt John Poike. I tried that. Matt, how do you feel about Khan possibly getting excluded from the EBU? That you asked earlier, so now is the time to answer that. So how I feel about it, it's getting a little political here, of course, but, sometimes you cannot really separate them. I think the EBU will go at length to not exclude someone. So the fact that they had to put out a warning about what's happening there is telling. It's not the first time that this happened in Israel, right? With the whole, defunding press and all that stuff, especially now with the old new government coming in Israel. It certainly brought it back. I think the EBU will try not to do that unless they really, really have to. That's one of the things the EBU doesn't want to do, is kick people out. And yes, I know as of late it happened quite a bit with Belarus first and then Russia, obvious and justifiable reasons. But yeah, they don't want to kick out Israel unless they really, really have to. And they're not making it easy for the EBU to keep them in there. So could it happen? It could. What are the chances? I think it's a smaller chance, but I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. Let's have another one. Why is nobody talking about the fact that margin of victory was 1 point in tonight's NF lead? We talked about it in the beginning, actually. We did talk about it, actually, for quite a bit. To summarize it, it is crazy. It's not just the 1 point, which is crazy enough. It's the top 4 that are so close in overall ranking. It's like insane. They clearly, and with someone coming 3rd and 2nd, then winning it all, it's quite controversial. Now, I know Duncan Lawrence did the same thing at Eurovision, but we're talking about 26 songs, not 7. So, yeah, that is the crazy part here. So it is crazy. One juror could have had a different opinion and just ranked Gustav just 1 position lower, and that would have been enough. It's just crazy. It's not the first time it happened. It's not the last time. We had ties before in certain countries. I mean, remember, we talked about Israel last year, where there was also 1 point difference. It does happen sometimes. But those are the rules, and there you have it. Next question. Thomas L. What do you think personally of France choosing La Zara? I don't have a strong opinion about this one, neither good or bad. I have not done much research on her as an artist. So I don't know if she's a good or bad choice. I will say I'm very disappointed that France just got rid of it for this year. And I will say this. I understand they're saying they're just going to pause it because they decided this is a great song. They decided, right? So they don't want to give the people the chance to vote, even though that's what they went to, because there were people in charge with a lot of money who think, we want her. If you introduce a national final that has been highly popular and arguably quite successful, certainly with Barbara Pravi, but certainly with exposure, and then just get rid of it because you like that one song, it seems kind of silly. If it's really that good of a song, put it to the test. Put it to the test and make sure it'll actually even win over the French voters. Because if it doesn't win over the French voters, do you really think it's going to win over Europe? They are so confident in the song, clearly, that this is a potential winner. They're talking about winning the contest, and I would love for France to win. I more than anything. I'm just worried that they're a little overconfident. We could be wrong because they're clearly doing great at junior, but I don't think they should have done that. It's very inconsistent, and it seems very, very fishy to me. That being said, I will not hold that against Lazara. And if the song is good, I will support it. And if it's not good, then I will still say I'll respect the country and the fans. But then I'm going to be like, you scrap the show for that? We shall see. So, not a problem. No worries, Liam. I thought you missed the first 20 minutes. How dare you? How very dare you? No, it's all good. Do you think Australia will be invited back to stay the contest after our official invitation expired after this year? 150% yes. Forgive me that I'm drinking so much today, but I'm having a dry throat, which is kind of, it never rains in Southern California, and I'm not sure if it's on your guys' news, but the weather is horrible. I'm looking out of the window right here right now, and it's just rain, rain, rain. It's very depressing. Anyways, I digress. In terms of Australia, number one, Australia would have been back regardless. It expires, and they will extend it. That's the end of the story. Number two, while it's even more likely than ever, Australia brings money. With Russia being out, the EBU needs more money than ever. The participation fees were so high already. That's why we have all these small countries dropping out. They need Australia. Absolutely. So I am very confident about that prediction. So I am certainly, you can relax, sit back, and enjoy the ride. Eurovision 23 is already trying to outdo Eurovision 22, Jonathan is saying. In terms of like crazy results, I think every year we have these, like out of nowhere results, and it really follows a pattern, doesn't it? It seems like in the beginning, these crazy songs are selected that no one saw coming, and then it becomes a little bit more like, okay, here we go. And then it gets better. We shall see, but it makes for certainly interesting conversations. A lot of disappointing favorite fan faces, but hey, that's just kind of how it goes. Once again, if you're just joining, we're just having the open dialogue section at ESC United in the chat if you want to, and I'll do my best to answer them. Jack is saying, Matt, what do you think of the Islands national final? Oh dear. Two things. I haven't listened to the songs yet. I'm trying to do that tonight. I'm trying. I still have to do Latvia. I have to do Finland. It doesn't have all the songs out. And I have to do Ireland. I'm trying. All I know is that one guy in Irish from the Sex Pistols who said very not nice things about the contest. And that's not how you win over fans, right? I always say, I don't go to your work and knock dicks out of your mouth. So I find that very, very rude. But yeah, it's unprofessional. I love the left field results. It adds dimension to the NF season. I reckon if every fan favored one, it would be predictable and boring. That is fair, Emily. I'm trying to think, and there are, I'm sure, examples. But let everyone help me think, because there are so many national finals. Where did we have a left side unexpected outcome of a national final where no one saw this one qualifying, and then ended up doing really, really well at the contest? Like, I'm sure they exist. I'm just trying to remember where that happens. More often than not, that seemed to be kind of going just meh. So I'm trying to think. Where was like an unexpected winner that did really well at the contest? Help me a little bit. Someone is saying Spain 22. Was it really I didn't think it was. I mean, maybe it's just me. I didn't think that was a big surprise because it was one of the favorites. It was just that one band, that name I just forgot the name of. They were just a landslide fan favorite, right? But I never thought it was going to win. If anything, I thought "Ay Mama" was the obvious choice. So yes, I would say "Slow Mo" was not the favorite, but I don't think it was necessarily a complete shocker either. Is that fair? Serbia 22, that is a good one. That is a good one. Although I will say the only difference, I shouldn't add another caveat to making it more difficult for you guys. I should say a caveat where a song that was an unexpected winner that people were unhappy about and then did well. Because I remember Serbia was the big surprise, but it was the best pleasant surprise. So nobody was upset that the song won. And it was all about what? And they were supportive. It was a very passionate win, actually. So that is the difference there. But I'm trying to think like a song that was didn't expect to win was like nobody was like everyone was like eh, and then it did really well. Norway 21. Norway 21. What was no? Oh, I don't know. No, it didn't do that well. I mean, it did qualify to be fair. Yeah, it didn't do hot. Angel, right? It did all right. What was like 18th place, 20th place? I don't remember exactly where it fell. I think the problem was with Norway also, it was all about it was not Kaino, therefore people were upset. But yeah, that is certainly although I heard a lot of rumbling that Tix was the guaranteed televote winner. People talked about that even before. So because he was so popular and such a hype around him. So but Kaino was just everyone wanted Kaino to win. When We're Old, Lithuania 2018. Okay, see, good. I mean, that one did really well. Oh, quite well. And I didn't remember though. Oh, I didn't know even, I should say, that it was not popular with the fans. That people were upset that this one won. So, but if that's the case, then that's a good example. Never mind, I missed the part of the question. LOL. Okay. Sister Obvious didn't do well at Eurovision. No. Okay, you mentioned Sister. Yeah, that didn't do well at all. But yeah, that one was a big of a surprise, but not to me though. But only because I think I know the German folks too well, and I saw how hard this song was pushed by the producers. And unfortunately, bless their heart, my German friends, the average viewer listens to what the judges or the producers are saying and vote for it. 2017 Levina, I remember that so much. She had two songs in the running, and her other option was way more popular. It won the televote, and then the jury said, "You know what? Maybe we should go for the other one because we already have so many ballots in the running, and we should." And then televoter, sure enough, just decide, okay, the jury's told us, so we're going to vote for the other one. You know, so I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Do you have press pass, Jade Funky? I don't know. Press has not been open yet. We don't know what's going to happen. So that is the next thing. I would think at a minimum, I will get online press access, whether if it's on site. The EBU is getting more and more strict and have basically not necessarily a lot of fondness towards those who have been supporting them for a long time here. So management has changed. So it's tough. I don't know. TBD. TBD. Nobody like Portugal 21 and the bottom of many. That is right, Jelly. Was actually at my bottom. No, I was just in between. I didn't care for that much. That is true. Portugal 21 was not necessarily a very popular one. And then really surprised. Yeah, that is a good example. That's my winner. I was trying to think of one. So yeah, that is a good one. Actually, Belgium 2013 before contest was hated. World Sorry. Very good point. So that was very interesting. Roberto's song from 2013, Love Kills Over and Over. I will say this. It was initially performed in a demo version on a radio TV, and he was sick and it sounded horrible. And I was like, oh my God, this is my least favorite. This is the only time, and I think it has never been happening this dramatically, where a song that was basically my least favorite after the revamp became one of my favorites. Because it was almost a completely different song. And I remember that. I'm like, oh my God, What happened? I remember that so much because it was like it never happened. It went like from like 37th place to like my top 5 or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly how high. But maybe not top 5, but in my top 10. So yeah, it was a dramatic difference. So I remember that. But there is the caveat of having a major revamp. If they would have gone with the old version, I think that would have drowned dramatically. Then he came like what 13th or something like that. Yeah. So those were the good old days. That was so any questions by the way at ESC United if you still want to talk. I mean, we talked about Belgium ad nauseum, and I don't think that anything else can be said. People are of course there will always be some people that are happy. I'm scared to go on. Oh my god, my notifications are blowing up. I can't go through them all right now. I have to do that afterwards. Matt, are you going to make a Eurosong Ireland video? Yes. Yes. I'm working so much and I was on cat bereavement for a week. But I'll do the best I can. I still have to do my ranking video for Croatia. I have to do Ireland. I have to do Latvia. I have to do Finland. Gosh, it's all happening now. Screw my social life. This is what I'm doing. What are your thoughts about the fact that Czech Republic will have a live in F and that it'll be partially in English for foreign ESC fans? Musical Muffin, I think what they know is they know who to cater to. And they're very smart. There isn't a big movement within in Czech Republic that is dedicated towards the Czech crowd, right? Because they're still fairly new to the contest. They really haven't established them that much. And certainly up until this year, it was always this online thing. So that it's so new, and there's a good chance not many people would watch it. So knowing that there is a huge dedicated supporting group online, it only makes sense to cater to it. And some other national finals have done something similar before, like even Melody Festival, and clearly it's completely in Swedish and it's completely dedicated towards the Swedish folks, but they now have an English live stream, knowing that they can have that as well for people to watch. It's just very intelligent, something like that. So I think it's clever, it's smart, and really brings in more people. So really good. I was about to ask you when we will see Supernova 23 reaction, but yeah, I know you haven't listened to the songs yet. I'm always scared about Latvia because, if we're gonna get something about eat your, I almost said the word, eat, what's it called? Eat your salad. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. So Latvia, please have something better. Without spoiling it to me, don't say any song names in Latvia. What song? Is there something that to look forward to? That's all I want to know. Don't say which song. Just tell me, is there something, or should I prepare for the worst case scenario? Let me know. Okay, so Latvian is saying Latvia is decent this year. Okay, that I'm very happy to hear about. Latvia never picks the song that I want them to pick to begin with, but you're not trashing Eat Your Salad. I'm not trashing it, Jade. It trashes itself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you love it, it's fine. I think I was the only one on my team, not the only one, but of my core group who didn't like the song. So I was sitting there like, I knew it. I knew it. But we just have a lot of banter and we tease each other. So yeah, whatever likes it. I can just calm you down. There are no joke acts this year. Okay. And here's the thing, I don't even mind joke acts if they're done right. Some of the best joke acts are my favorites. To this day, Dancing Lasha Tambai is a bop. My family here in America, they don't really listen to Eurovision a whole lot, only when I show them stuff, but that is on their playlist. My 5-year-old nephew and 3-year-old niece, they're all dancing to it. So when it's done right, it's perfect. But there's this fine line of, doing it right. I'm Belgian, and I'm sure that Shireen's song in French had something to do with Flemish public not voting for her. I don't want to have a comment on that. I don't have an opinion. I know that there is some of that going on, but I didn't realize. I completely forgot that this was very done by the Flemish broadcaster, but I don't know. Do you think so? I don't know. See, I didn't even think about that. But I just have to take your word for it. Did you understand the Belgium NF since Dutch is similar to German? Um, I picked up words here and there. Like I can read Dutch fairly well, but my I cannot understand it well. Plus, I was hopping back and forth into Norway, and I was writing stuff, so I didn't pay attention much to the hosting. It was mostly just making sure that I listened to the song, so I didn't catch much of it. But every now and then, I caught pieces here and there. Plus, my German is so bad now. I was talking to my brother who lives in Germany 2 or 3 days ago, and it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic how bad my German is. But that's a different story. Do you think Gustav won because of Eurovision target audience, if you get what I mean? No, I don't think that at all. I don't see a pattern here from other acts that vote just that way. I just, for some reason, it fit the right niche at Eurovision for Belgian fans. I don't think it has anything else to do with that. Because we have seen plenty of similar acts like that in other national finals, and that didn't do anything. So I don't see that, no. It's just something that there was a certain appeal that went past me and a lot of other folks with the Belgian public. And we'll just have to wait and see in May if we were right or the Belgian public was right. But now I am feeling more confident that I'm right. Do you think Remember Voyager from Australia decides last year? If yes, would you like to see them at Eurovision? Alexander, here's the thing. Yes and no. That is the problem. I know Voyager was one of the favorites, and I barely remember them. I don't think I was quite as smitten with them. For me, the song didn't stick. So if you ask me to sing the song, I remember what they look like. Remember nothing of the song. And I think that was the biggest problem for me. I just it never really stuck with me. And that's why I wasn't quite as emotionally upset about it, if you know what I mean. But by all means, they came close, so why shouldn't they try again? Absolutely. Who do you want Australia to internally select? Kylie Minogue. I don't know. I don't know any. I can see my knowledge of Australian artists is so limited that I can only live in the Eurovision world, looking at prior national finals and whatnot. So it'll be very difficult for me to pick another act. Give me some names, maybe, then maybe I can help you. But right now, I cannot even think. Damian would be a great choice. That is true. Yeah, but again, that's a Eurovision alumni, so that's an obvious choice. I always would love Kate Heidke Miller come back. Loved her song, But then again, I only go by Eurovision standards, so that is always a little unfair. So I'm sad that they're not having a national final in Australia this year. But at least they're in, right? So we'll see. And they tend to do well with or without national finals. Although the only time they didn't was when Montaigne didn't qualify. But that was unique circumstances because it wasn't even a jury that selected her song. That was her song that she wrote and didn't go through an approval process as much as other songs. And she also said she had very little backing that year. It was a big mess, especially since I didn't even show up in person. Big drama. No drama, disappointment. I know that she voiced her disappointment in that as well, and that she will not have these great memories that other acts had. She was just sitting at home watching a show like the rest of us, basically, except her song was up for a vote. So, if anything, now, as I'm thinking this out loud, Montaigne. I'm hoping Montaigne to return to get a fair shot. Noah saying, who do you think is the best at Eurovision and what country is your favorite? Who do you think the best? Do you mean what country is the best? I mean, if you just looked at it objectively, we're talking Italy and Sweden. If you ask me based on my personal taste, I still think Italy is high up there. They almost always send a song that I love, except the time they won. I didn't like that one. One country that drives me nuts is Portugal. I love Portugal. I spent, 2.5 weeks there. They have such good national finals, and they always pick a song that I don't like. So I just want them to pick a song I want. And that's why it's so frustrating when they have so many good songs and a song they pick. I'm like, eh. I'm trying to think if there's like a national final that is really catering to my taste. Italy comes to mind. Ugh. Yeah, Italy, I guess. Can't think of any of the others right now. What do you think about the opinion right now on the average level of NFs and also chosen acts so far, Thomas? I will say this. Let's just talk about the three that have chosen. I thought that two out of those three had decent songs. Like Albania, this festival at Kangas was a snoozer to me. There were very few songs that I cared for. So it didn't matter who won, I would have been more underwhelmed anyways. There was nothing that was even remotely close as good as last year's. So Albania, I can say that. Ukraine, well, there's nothing as good as Stefania. Even they were like, there's an uphill battle there because I love Stefania. They had some good songs in there, and it's just a shame that they didn't win. So the song that they chose, Tvorchi, I think it's a bad song actually. It's just a little like on the average side. However, we do know it's Ukraine, and they know how to fix it. It's going to have a revamp. It needs a more of an oomph, and maybe becomes better. So I'm not counting on Ukraine just yet because what we heard so far is not going to be the final product. And then Belgium, of course, was the biggest surprise. That was a bummer. And the other national finals that I've listened to Croatia. I haven't listened to Ireland or Latvia yet. I listened to all of Estonia, obviously. And there are good songs in there. Let me know if what else am I missing. So we'll go from there. Do you like rock? Yes, I love rock. I grew up like on listening to rock and punk and grunge music. Like one of my earliest not earliest, but one of my memories, like listen to Nirvana as a kid, because as a child, I went through a very difficult childhood. Not going to bore you with the details. And so that kind of music really, really helped me through a lot. So I've been always very appreciative of really good rock music. I've been a big fan of like Queen is my favorite band of all time, which is a different kind. It's more like pop and swagger, but I love rock. That's my answer. Yes. Tvorchi already had good staging in the bunker, so they'll be fine. They had fantastic staging. The staging is not the point. I think it's the song. I think they need a revamp with the song. The staging is already, make it for a big stage, and I think they're good to go. But I think the song needs a little bit more of an oomph. That's all I'm saying. What ESC 21 song was your personal favorite before the final? Before the final, France. France was my favorite. And it still was probably my favorite after it. I know it flopped, but I love that song. It's one of the songs I don't get it why I didn't do better, but I loved France. Loved it. The biggest grower was definitely Moldova. I always liked Moldova, but to be fair, not only the staging was great with Moldova, but the new version of the song, the more upbeat with the drums, is such an improvement to it as well. Made it so good for the stage, and I thought it was fantastic. So that was the biggest grower, but I don't think my favorite has changed. Was France, is France 21. Can you please start answering my questions, Ginny? Yes, if you posted them, keep in mind, I'm trying to go for them as they come in. Keep asking them if I missed them, okay? I can scroll up here. Hang on. Your favorite act this year, Ginny? Out of the three chosen so far? Ukraine. Tvorchi. Probably my favorite. That would be mine. France 21 did not flop. Oh, did you say 20? Oh, I'm so sorry. I've been talking about 22. You said 21. Oh, everything I said was just a complete waste of time. I was talking about 22, Fulin. I'm an idiot. So for 21. So 21 is a little tougher because I feel like I don't have a clear favorite there. I will say, who was my pre-favorite? I want to say my pre-favorite was France that year as well. And my post-favorite, though, I'm just in love with Malta that year. But Malta and Lithuania, those would be the two I would choose. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I was. What about 22? Your favorite before the final? I said, France. That hasn't changed. My take on Tvorchi is that there was smart move to pick something that wasn't ethnic. Ukraine had sent 2 ethnic entries in the past 2 years, and it was about time they tried something new. But they're so good with the ethnic sound. They're so good. And that's usually when they do well all the time. So they're not like married to it. Tvorchi to me it's not a bad song. It's just very R&B. And R&B rarely ever does well at the contest. Again, exceptions to the rule, I'm sure. But it doesn't seem like a song that would do well at the contest. And if we follow traditions, Ukraine will flop this year. When they're pre-qualified, they flop every time. They flopped in 2005. They flopped in 2017. And most likely they wouldn't have qualified from the semis with those two songs. So if there's a year to flop, this is the one. Although I will say, I don't think Ukraine's going to flop this year. Number one, you can still make the case there will be some of the sympathy vote. And number two, it's not that bad of a song. It's just, I don't think it's, again, the standout song, if that makes sense. If you were the Eurovision executive supervisor, I'm going to stop reading there because then everything would be perfect. Everything. We would have an orchestra. We would have a live vocal. I'm kidding. Would you ban Azerbaijan because of the shenanigans last year with the voting? Azerbaijan isn't the only one that's guilty of the shenanigans, to be fair. If we were to do that, then we had to kick out 6 countries, right? And I understand that just kicking out 6 countries from the contest is not a feasible solution. We would have 30 countries, but you have to go down on them. You have to. I don't even think they had to pay a proper fee or anything. There has to be some sort of penalty. But you cannot kick out 6 countries at once. And honestly, cheating is bad. And the blame goes towards the jurors who did that and anyone involved in that thing. I've been saying for years, however, that the EBU needs to do a better job supervising because there's very little supervision. And I understand you can do a lot of that pre-contest and all that stuff, but there needs to be some sort of thing in place to prevent that from happening. There's a lot of hands off from the EBU in that process. So I'm not saying it's the EBU's fault, but I think that they need to step it up a little bit as well than rather just pointing fingers. That's all I'm saying. Would you let Sergei Lazarev perform for another country as he is a very good artist and a big Eurovision lover? Yes. I never hold artists responsible for the actions of their government. Are there some that are supportive of the Russian government? Absolutely. But I'm just saying, just in general, just like I will never blame the people of Russia for what's happening. Again, are there supporters? Yes. But are there a lot of people who are not? Yes. It's a lot of brainwashing going on because of the media. Yes. It's a very complicated issue, but my rule is don't blame the people. Don't blame the artists. I've always been that way. But I don't know if Sergei did participate in a propaganda video, Latvia saying that's a little bit surprising to hear from him because he was one of the first ones to speak out against the war when it happened. Then he went radio silent. So I'm not sure. I'm also being a little careful here because sometimes there is pressure on it as well, right? We do know that there is, it's not easy to being a public person in Russia and say anything unless you really want to leave the country. And he has family. So I don't know. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying that it's complicated. Know what I mean? So I don't want to just, it's very dangerous to me to villainize everyone. And it's such a convoluted and complicated issue. Yeah, and Ruben saying like he does. That was my thing. I thought he didn't want it, so I'm a bit surprised to hear about that propaganda video. I don't know if he just was. I know there was like some kind of concert and then some acts attended, and that was considered propaganda. I don't know. It's very complicated. I don't have the ins and outs on that one. It sucks. It's just everything. It just sucks. And that is really that kind of stuff. Of course, carries over to Eurovision, right? I mean, it has been for years, but now, of course, it's this new era of. Who should or should not be in there. So it does suck. I know I sound like a broken record. Which country do you think will be the next to get their first victory? I would have to take a look at the list of the countries. Well, if you look at patterns and how they're performing, you can make a case. Iceland is going to make it sooner than later. Malta is always a threat. I don't know. Croatia hasn't done well at Eurovision in a while, but I wouldn't be surprised seeing them winning. At some point, they just come out of nowhere. It's hard, man. It's because it just takes one good song that can pull Portugal, who I was like, meh, at the contest, and then there's one fantastic song, or Finland, in 2006, just always sucking, 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 sucking. We win. That could always happen. But if you just look at patterns, I think Iceland is getting ready to win this. That's what I would say. Antonio is saying, I really think the change to public vote selecting qualifiers was the punishment from last year, explaining the change in Azerbaijan selection. That is correct, Antonio. They actually, Sietzebacher confirmed that, actually. That is the reason. He is one of the members of the reference group. That the only reason why this is happening, they saw no other way but to take away the jury vote in there. If they're concerned about the semis, then they should be concerned about the final as well, though. So I miss a little bit, fail to see the complete logic there. At the same time, I do not want to get away with the juries completely, because a pure televote is equally disastrous. But there needs to be a better way to handle this. There needs to be a better way to do this. And this clearly was not the way. And there needs to be something tried, rather than just, it's not working, let's get rid of it, fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it. There have been plenty of issues with a televote, SIM carding, and votes not being counted. We're not going to say, well, it's not working, so we're going to get rid of it. It's not a solution. Baby bathwater. No. 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 Georgia could actually be lucky for one time, selecting a song that is weird but so good that it wins. Great point, Joe. Yes, that is exactly. Georgia sends song, for better words, that are so out there that most people don't get it. And then at one time, again, they pull a Finland. Because nobody thought Finland was going to win in 2006, except for me. I love that song from the beginning. But I'm still bitter 16 years ago that I was the only one supportive of it from the get-go. Yeah, Georgia, if anything, there could really just surprise us in that way. Yes, but there still needs to be a little bit. They haven't figured out yet how to send a weird song or out of the box that has a mass appeal. That's where they need to cross that line to get there. They need to increase the jury to 20 per country, so it's harder to bribe. That's one solution. I know that makes it logistically a whole lot more difficult and all of that stuff, especially for a country like San Marino. And maybe jury should no longer be considered like you need to, like, equally represented per country. But now you do have to, because otherwise it's unfair. I don't know. Again, I would sit down with people, experts, and come up with something rather than just dismissing it and not addressing it. That is my biggest issue. But yeah, increasing the number of people would certainly be one option. At least try something. I'm very scared for Ulrike and Elsie. Those types of songs may not be televote friendly because they're ballads. I don't know. Ulrike won in 2020, didn't she win she won the televote? So I don't see why she couldn't do it again. I hear what you're saying. But if a song is good, a great ballad can go far. Elsie's song, I think, is a little bit more tricky, usually. I mean, assuming it's anything like her last effort, because it is beautifully staged and melodically haunting, and it's just amazing. But it is not as grand as like the Ulrike songs, who are just power vocals, fireworks, pyros, and it's like, oh, right? It's more of a feel. And that often is a little bit more difficult. So I'll give you that with Elsie's sound, but Ulrike's song has every ingredient I think it needs to win. That's based on my limited observation. Because of the juries, acts like Hooverphonic and Marius Bear won't qualify again. That makes me so sad. Yeah, I mean, I thought Marius Bear got too much hate last year anyway. It was a nice song, and Hooverphonic was fantastic. And some people forget some other great songs in the past. Albania 2018, Mal. Could you imagine a final without them? That was probably my favorite Albanian entry. So, no, I refuse. I refuse it. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah. If it ain't broke, it work. Yes. If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? And I understand the jury vote, certainly based on last year's, is broken. So you need to fix it, but you don't throw it away. That is what I'm coming from. Let me see. It would be so unfair for other countries. Not sure what you're referring to, but yeah. Jakase, hey Jakase, Balkan countries haven't won in such a long time. I know, right? 2002, my first time I watched it in the United States, actually. Good times. So it should be Lithuania, right? Oh wait, you said oh my god, did you just say did you say Balkan, not Baltic? Why don't you just ignore me? First, I think 21 or 22, and I was thinking Baltic versus Balkan, and I don't even want to look at the comments because everyone's laughing at me. So anyways, yeah. Balkan, I mean, technically, well, Yugoslavia, as stand-up countries, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been rooting for them hard. Croatia would be like, on paper, the country I would love to go to. They just went on there on The Amazing Race, the show that I watch, and I know I always want to go to Croatia, and it's just it's always so inconveniently located for me that I never able to go when I travel. So this would be the perfect reason. So my worry with the new voting system is that we go back with only bops and less diversity in music, less strong ballads, for example. I hope this doesn't affect negatively the contest. That's one of the things. The last time we had a purely televote was in 2008. And we remember some of the craziness that was there and the winning song, the controversies. And I don't want to go back to those days. I could fully acknowledge that jury needs fixing. Absolutely. But I don't want to go back to that either. And yes, maybe televoters have evolved as well. At the same time, there are certain songs that require a little bit more, oftentimes maybe require more than one listen or appreciation that the juries will give. So neither system is perfect. And I find that we put them together makes it a little bit more better, I guess, for the lack of a better word. It will be chaotic, both semis with new voting system. It's going to be very interesting. I was going to say we're going to get a lot of say na na nas, but na 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 say na na qualified anyways, right? But if it would have been up to the juries, it wouldn't have happened. Even came in the top 10 in the finals. It's I still don't get it. Was Brooke robbed last year? Brooke from Ireland. Again, this is a personal opinion. We don't share that. I did not like that song at all. It was grating to me. It seems like it had a lot of niche support within the Eurovision bubble. I've noticed that, which I didn't share or quite get. So I don't necessarily think she was robbed, but I'm not saying she didn't deserve it because, if she would have qualified, she would have deserved it. That's how simple it is. It just didn't click with people. So I didn't have her in my top 10 in that semi. So no, that would be my personal opinion. I'm not even that worried about the televoters themselves. I'm more worried about broadcasters sending what they think the televoters would like down. That is a very good point as well, because I remember, like, even when we had the juries already, and Germany, because I'm always bringing up Germany because I am German and I know what they're saying, the people. They're always like, well, would Europe vote for that? Is that a good Eurovision song? That you're like, stop doing that. Stop thinking what people would like. German did it all the time. Send what you like. It's just that simple. Am I talking rocket science here? I don't know. It's just really, really driving me nuts when they do that. Like, oh! But anyways, I digress. Now you're making me angry. First, I was super sad. Now I'm super angry. I'm going for the full range of emotions in this live stream. Love it. Are you going to do any reaction videos from the countries 56 to 22? Please try if you can. Those videos of yours were my favorite. Ginny, I want to do them again, but I've done most of the major countries already, and I started doing them with Roy to add a different perspective. So maybe when the off season, like after Eurovision, I'll get either Roy or Gabe or someone else involved so we can do it together. Just me doing it by myself, it seems rinse and repeat. Yes, there's some countries I haven't done yet, but yeah, I like doing them. Do you have a personal favorite from the national final season so far? I haven't listened to all of them yet, obviously, so I'm still a little behind. Out of the ones that I've listened to so far, um, I can't tell you too much because I still have to do some videos. I don't want to spoil it. But so far, out of I would say on paper, it would be both Ulrike and Alessandra from Norway, Queens of Kings, and Honestly, I think. Then there are some others that I would mention, but I'm not until the video's out. Latvian. If Latvia, Spain, and Estonia sends rock songs, it can become Rock Vision. Isn't rock gaining more and more popularity at Eurovision? I think Eurovision, people realized a change of perception. There was always the perception that you have to send corny, cheesy, over-the-top performances in English, right? We've gotten rid of this mindset lately that only English songs can do well or win at the contest. Look at the last few years of winning, right? That we have shattered. And now we're starting to see also a lot of interesting different genres to do well at the contest if done right. It doesn't mean by default, but if they're done right, people will like it. Includes rock, includes jazzy sounds. It just kind of is what it is. And I'm glad that this is happening. So I think more and more acts are open to do that because they've seen the success at the contest. And I think that's what's happening. It takes some trendsetters to actually change it. And this is what's happening. So it's a beautiful thing to witness in my book. I think I'm in the minority, but I think honestly it's so predictable. I saw the live performance. I just think it's a typical Eurovision ballad that the jury likes and the televoters hate. I will say this. I know you're in the minority. That may be true, but you're not alone in that. And number two, I understand where you're coming from. There may be certain predictable moments in the song. And if that was all to it, I would have completely been on your side. I do feel that there are plenty of twists and turns in the song that makes it interesting, where she changes the pace and she started like singing faster. And it's just, I find I'm thoroughly entertained throughout the entire performance. And I do think that this actually has more televote appeal than a lot of the other songs within the same kind of genre, based on my feel, at least. We don't know for sure, of course. I understand where you're coming from. I said on Twitter, it gives me a lot of Husavik vibes, right? It's that kind of style. And Husavik was immensely popular. And I'm not just saying it among Eurovision fans, like, because this movie was here in the US, right? Introduced a lot of Eurovision to a lot of the folks here in the US. And I know people have never even heard of Eurovision until this movie. Like, I really like that song, Husavik. So that's why I feel as this could actually have more of an impact. But I am not discounting or your thought process here, because I think it's actually not completely out of the realm of possibilities. But I just think in this particular case, I think it has a lot more going for it, this song. Do you think the grand final result would be different if the EBU revealed the semi results in the correct order, like say country 10 got the No, no. I mean, with the grand final results would be different. I'm sorry. Yes, they would look different. I should say. I meant to say no, don't do that. But yes, it would look different because it's just the psychology of people have. There is the reason why Sweden allows televoting to continue after the jury results have been revealed, because it does impact people's votes. If they see a song doesn't have a shot, their favorite, they will then switch to their second favorite to give them a better shot. Because let's say my favorite is in second place, a second favorite is in second place, my favorite is in last place. I'm like, well, clearly my favorite only came in 10th place. It's not going to win Eurovision, but my second favorite came in second place. I'll vote for that one to get it over the finish line. It's just psychology, and it would be dumb. But yes, it would absolutely change the outcome. Absolutely. Doesn't mean I'm saying it always would change the winner, but it would certainly change a lot of other things. Do you think the EBU should reveal who comes 11th to 17th in the semi straight after the results? I don't have a strong opinion about that either. I understand why they don't do it. They did it in 2004, I think. That was the only time. The first time we had the first time where we had semis where they did that. I don't think they've done it ever since. I'm pretty sure. Did they do it in 2005? I don't think they did. Um, I I understand why they don't want to do it because people can look at you can count how many points have been given to the 11th and 17th place, so you have an idea that, oh, okay, this may look like that. So they don't want to give any room for interpretation. So I think that is very smart. So I don't think they should do it just for that reason. They give us sometimes a little glimpse. I remember in 2014, or was it 2012, 14, where they mentioned the 10th qualifier only made it by 1 point. So they gave us a little like an idea of it, what was happening. But yeah, I don't want it actually in there. Do you think that this year could be extremely hard for smaller countries such as San Marino and Malta, as international viewers may find have never heard of them, making them forgettable? That's a tough question. I never even thought about that. Could that be? I was going to say, well, if it was only America, then you would be fine because we will only vote for France, Germany, and England. And since England is not in the contest, because that's all we think of when we hear about United Kingdom, all the other countries. What's a Poland? Americans aren't known for their geography. But in all seriousness, I do think it may have a slight impact, but I want to say no. No way they're going to vote for the best song. But maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. It's going to have a major impact because I think, no, most people don't even have. It's not like in year where you have a certain association or fondness of certain countries, like the Scandinavian countries, the ex-Yugoslavian countries, the Baltic, whatever it may be. We don't necessarily have that same kind of connection to it, unless like your ancestors are Lithuanian, whatever. But for the most part, it's not like I have a strong feeling like the average American over Belgium than over Malta. So I don't think, again, we're talking about one country in the US. Every other country have a different opinion. So it's a very difficult thing to predict. But I want to say no. I'm getting stuck on this one, but I'm going to say no. What chances needs to be made for smaller countries to return? One change. Ka-ching. Money, money, money. Eurovision, in this day and age in particular, is so expensive. You really have to put a big chunk of cash aside to be in the running. And EBU's priority is not bringing these countries back. Otherwise, they would come up with a solution. It's all about the money. So you would need to have to go more back to basics, for the lack of a better term, right? A more affordable option. There's also some perception by some of the broadcasters that small countries cannot win the contest, which we all know that's not true. But there's a perception. So we got to change that perception as well. So it's maybe a little bit of both. But yeah, money is the driving factor here, just like with everything. Will US one day participate in Eurovision? Albana saying, I hope not. Coming from an American. Here's the thing. We had the American Song Contest, which kind of was mediocre at best in terms of viewing figures. So we don't know if there will be a second season. We're hoping, but it may or may not. The former executive supervisor, Jan Ola Sand, said, and I'm paraphrasing right now, they have their own contest now, so no need. If this wouldn't work out, maybe, something like that down those lines. He was a little bit more articulate about it. I don't know how he phrased it. So there was this indication that they may be open to it. And once again, it's all about the money and the exposure, because they want to grow the product that is Eurovision, and that is the way to go. And could it happen? Yes. Do I think it's likely at this point? No. Do I want it to happen? Hell no. So that's where I fall. Let's do a couple more questions. Do you think that UMK should come back next year with the semifinal system like Norway and with the bigger arena for the final? So many Finns have been asking for this for a long time too. So UMK, though it's been around for a little while, really saw this rebirth of quality, right? The past couple of years in particular. But we've seen like a lot of good music. So I would love that idea. I think Finland is ready for that. They have the quality. and they certainly have shown that they can do well at the contest. They qualified twice and once with a really, really good result. So yes, I don't see why not. If there's interest in Finland, the more exposure, the better. So my answer is abso-freaking-lutely. Have we heard the Eurovision 23 winner already? I'm not a betting man, but if I had $1 million, I would put $1,010 down and say no. We have not. Oh, wait. Heard. I'll take that back. Scratch. You said heard because it doesn't mean selected. Big difference. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't listened to the Irish songs yet or the Latvian songs. So I don't know. The ones I've listened to, could Norway be in the running with a couple of their songs? Maybe. But it's so hard to say. It's so early. Like, it's so hard to say, but I'll say maybe. Which former participating country would you most want back? I can't decide between Luxembourg and Monaco. So it depends. I want Turkey back just because it's an awesome music and you bring a lot of fans back to the table. So that would be a big one. But I also have a soft spot for like the actual more like core countries that I haven't seen in a long time. The ones you point out, Luxembourg and Monaco, who haven't participated in a long time. For selfish reasons, I want Slovakia and Hungary back because they're such in the center of the continent. So when you see the participating map, always having these gray spots and they look stupid. I want Bosnia and Herzegovina to come back because it's not that they don't want to. They just kind of then they're bankrupt. That sucks too. I want them all back. But yeah, if I have to give one, if I have like Matt, you have the power right now, given by the executive supervisor to give the ticket, who would it be? Luxembourg. I want Luxembourg back. So, anyways, I have been overstaying my welcome here. The good thing is we'll have live streams every week now. Keep in mind, I may not be the only one here. I'm going to bring my friends in here, and sometimes they may even host it on my behalf because I do have a full-time job and I have to travel and I cannot always commit, but I want to make sure to have this more of a consistent basis. So I hope you all have a good night, and congratulations, Belgium, for choosing a song. Good luck to you in Liverpool, and I'll see you all then. Have a good night.